Okay, so I'm letting you guys in on a little bit of my planning session. So every year, like I said, I like to get away to go through and actually plan out the next year. I like to go through and do what we call a vivid vision. So it allows you to go through and create actually a vivid picture of what the next year will look like. And so I like to go through and look through each one of my departments and kind of go through and introspectively look at the departments and kind of think about some of the growth goals, some of the things that I like to see more when it comes to accountability training, some of the things that I like to see my leaders go through and actually take more accountability for, and some of the goals. I like to project the goals so I know what we're working towards as well. So currently right now, I am looking at our executive meeting. Of course, no one likes going to any meetings, especially nowadays. A lot of meetings are held on Zoom, or if it's face to face, we're masked down, we're socially distanced apart from each other. So I like to go through and actually make sure our meetings are effective and we're only covering the things that we need to cover. So that's when, in a meeting, especially in an executive style meeting, I believe that executive meetings should only be covering those KPIs. And you may be asking yourself, what is a KPI? A KPI is a key performance indicator. This will allow you to know, and this is a good gauge on if your business is moving towards the direction, the path that you have actually plotted to go forth. That's why, again, planning is very important. You cannot measure something that you have nothing to measure it against. So right now, I've worked on our vision, I've worked on our mission, I worked on the departmental plans. Now I'm kind of going through and reverse engineering for my KPIs for my executive meetings. So I know what I'm working towards. Now, how will I measure that to go through and ensure that we're achieving that? So in our executive meeting, I believe that a meeting should not be no longer than 30 to 35 minutes because if we're doing a little bit more than that, we're wasting time. As an entrepreneur, you have to go through and think about the value of time. If you have your directors, your managers in place for 3 and 4 hours, that tends to cost a lot of money. If you go through and break it down by the hour, that meeting can cost you thousands of dollars when you guys just sitting there kind of chapping your gums and just running your mouth. So it's very important to have an organized meeting. So when I'm looking at my executive meeting, I'm looking at all my key departments. I'm looking at my finance department, my marketing department, my operations department, and my compliance department. And there are a few KPIs that I would like to go through and know about those departments, and that will let me know if it's gauging or if it's running in the right direction. So as I'm going through and actually taking a look at this, I'm going to give you an example for my operations department. So one thing that's very, very, very crucial, especially in the healthcare field when it comes to operations, is especially in home health, not even just healthcare, in home health, when it comes to operation, you always want to know what your client count is, what your client cancellation is, and also any growth between that as well. So you want to know what your client count. If your client count is continuously increasing, you should see your weekly hours or your daily hours increasing as well. The only thing that will take away from that is client cancellations. In my business, there are a few reasons for acceptable client cancellations. There may be death, there may be hospitalization, but for a client to just go through and cancel, that is a KPI that I would like to track, to go through and see what is the reason why a person is canceling their services on a daily or weekly basis. Because then that will indicate key performance indicators, that will indicate that something needs to be, we need to intervene in some type of way. Whether it be we need to talk to the family members to see if there's any discord amongst the caregivers, if there's need to be a new caregiver, or if there's something else in between. So it may need more services, or maybe an unmet need that needs to be satisfied. So that's one thing that I like to go through and actually gauge is when it comes to operations. The second thing I like to go through is look at my operational budget. Every business should have a budget, and every business should know their budget. They should know it before you actually start implementing it, because you should know your costs, you should know your expenses, so you should be able to go through and calculate a budget based off the number of clientele that you have. So one thing I like to go through and actually look at that budget, see if we're going over budget, or if we're meeting budget as well. Because we're going over budget, that money has to come from somewhere. It has to come from another department, it has to come from the profits, it has to come from somewhere. So it's very important that we meet budget. And when we measure the KPIs, it's very important for an executive to communicate with the manager or the directors to go through and come up with a plan to get back on track. Because if you continue to stay off track on budget, it's just going to continue to take you down a path that could lead up to costing you a lot of money down the road. So that's another thing that I like to go through and actually track during my executive meeting, especially with operations as well. Last but not least, culture is very important as well. I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we neglect to think about culture. Because it's like a touchy-feely type subject. We know that we want production, but you want to make sure it's an environment that people really enjoy, and an environment that's actually that's going to promote happiness, that's going to promote a person that wants to come to work instead of just, I have to come to work to make a dollar. So I like to go through and engage the culture as well. So when it comes to culture, my director should be able to go through and communicate that. What are some things that we're doing to go through and put a smile on our team members' faces? What are some things that we went to do above and beyond for our team members? These are the type of things that's going to promote culture. And it's very important for an executive team to have directors, and have directors that are thoughtful as well, because it's very important that not to just glean on one person, because culture is not just one person's responsibility. It's actually a team's responsibility. So I know the executive team normally goes through and actually take the bull by the horns, but it's very great when you have a team that actually thinks about the other people and keeps them in front of mind, whether it be birthdays, anniversaries on the jobs, bereavement, celebratory type things. These are things that's very important when it comes to running an executive meeting. And so these are some of the KPIs that I actually put in place for our executive team. And I think that I would love to hear some of the KPIs that you measure for your executive team, so that when you're growing your business, you'll be able to know that you are growing it to the pace that you have already preconceived for it, and then that you are achieving those as well. So comment below, let me know some of the things that you're doing right now to measure your success. And if you're not actually measuring your success, think about it. Go through and Google KPIs, that's key performance indicators, and then come up with just a few. It doesn't have to be a lot. Come up with 3 key performance indicators that you can go through and track, that you can measure to go through and ensure that you're on the path for success for your business. All right. Well, hey, this is Ferris again. I look forward to hearing from you soon. And definitely subscribe to the channel below. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up. Let some other people know about this as I continue to go through and actually perform other duties within my organization, but also to help other business owners and entrepreneurs go through and achieve their dreams and goals. All right. Take care and have a wonderful day.